Welcome to January 2025's Deal Clinic Live. So we've got an exciting show here for you today, as always. And as usual, snippets of this will be going out to our social media on Facebook and Instagram. And the full show will be uploaded onto our YouTube channel in about a week's time on Sourcing Investments Limited. I will drop the link for that in the chat box later. So as I mentioned, we've got an exciting episode. We've got loads of people coming in. Welcome. We've got an exciting episode today. And to help me go through today's episode, we have our newest team member, David Price. So welcome, Dave. And we will be touching on the training companies and what we are going to be doing next. So, as usual, if you do have any questions, kindly drop those into the chat box. I will be checking in on those on a regular basis and addressing those to Dave so that we can go through those live on the show. If you're watching this on the replay, welcome too. And if you do have any questions with regards to today's topic, feel free to email us at admin@sourcinginvestments.co.uk. Okay. So it is with great pleasure that I'm going to chat with Dave today. And the two of us are going to talk about the Property Training Awards. Now, you may be asking, well, what's that? I've not really heard of the Property Training Awards. Well, that will bring me nicely to Dave. So, Dave, can you give the viewers a little intro about and the background actually of what are the 2024 Property Training Awards and why actually did Sourcing Investments create them?
Yeah, no, first of all, great to be on the show like this. So the Property Training Awards, the reason probably nobody's heard of it is because it's never been done before. But there's so many different training companies out there. We wanted to try and make things easier for people in their property journey to try and choose what would be the right training company for them, what would be the right fit, what they wanted to do, etc. And there didn't seem to be any way of being able to compare one training company against another at all. It'd be great if Which Magazine took this on and they were doing this for us, but unfortunately they're not. So this is why we wanted to do it ourselves. The main focus really is making it easier for people to choose what the right training company is for them. Oh, you're on mute.
Sorry, I was on mute. Amazing. So that's really good. So what inspired those Sourcing Investments to launch these awards, Dave?
Yeah, well, with ourselves, we basically, because we help with people with their compliance cover, normally 95% of the people who come to us have gone through some sort of property training. And to be honest, if they haven't gone through any sort of property training, I'd be really questioning, is compliance really at the right point of their journey for them? Because I think it's essential that you have some sort of training if you're completely new to the industry. But what we're finding, the feedback then we're getting where people are coming to us to arrange their compliance for them, has been quite varied regarding the quality of their training or their perception of the quality of the training they've actually had. So sometimes people are amazed that compliance wasn't actually talked about within their training journey. So it's been able to help people identify the sort of gaps, shall we say, that are in there that we're seeing that the training companies are providing, and also with that actually feedback to those training companies as well, the feedback we get from their attendees.
I love that. So with regards to that, and it very much helping the agent with their training, knowing what's out there, what's available, also helps the investors because then the agents can deliver better quality work in all aspects of the roles. And I know we, because Dave, you and I work closely together, we have had some very interesting questions, and it's a very wide variety of the level of training that an agent receives or doesn't in some cases. So how do the awards align with Sourcing Investment's mission to support property investors and deal sourcers?
Yeah, as I said, it's actually in three ways, really. Initially, for people who are relatively new to property, as I said, really say that they should get some form of training. So help people choose the right training platform for those who are new to the property world. Also, we've got some awards, like one of the awards is the advanced property training. So people might have done some training, be doing their thing for the last couple of years, but decide they want to go and sort of niche into a different aspect, such as HMOs. So again, so even if people have done some training, they could be looking to do further training in the future in specific niche areas. And the third thing that we're trying to help people with is actually help the training companies make sure that they're covering everything that people who are attending the training actually want to see. So part of the process is to get feedback from people about the training, which we can then go to the training companies and say, look, this is the feedback we're getting. It could be that you're not covering these things, or they haven't been covered in a way that the attendees actually understood. So the idea is actually to help elevate the quality of the training providers as well.
Oh, that's so good. It's very much like, let me think, it's very much like recognize and celebrate the excellence in the industry. Would you say that's fair?
Absolutely. There's some brilliant training programs out there, some brilliant training companies out there. So yeah, let's highlight those. But also at the same time, I'm a big believer in that constant and never-ending improvement. So just because somebody's doing something that works fine, how can it still actually be improved? So again, if we can help training companies improve in any way at all what they're doing, it's just in everybody's benefit.
Amazing, amazing. Excuse me. So, can you talk us about, or can you talk us through the actual categories and the criteria, Dave?
Yeah, sure. So we've actually got 6 different categories for the awards this year. I should say we're calling it the 2024 Property Award. So it's based on last year, but because this has never been done before, we're after input from people who've been on training full stop, irrespective of the year. So the training awards, I don't know, Bonnie, can you actually share the screen of the page where people can actually go in and vote for the different training companies?
Yes, I will do that now for our regular viewers. You know to bear with me with my tech abilities. One moment, please.
So while Bonnie's getting that up on the screen, I'll just run through the 6 different categories. The first one is the Best Entry Level Property Training Award. So I think if you page down a little bit, we've got the 6 categories down there. So the entry level property training is probably aimed more at people who are completely new to property and what's the most cost effective way to give them a basic understanding of property. Then one that's obviously close to our heights at Sourcing Investments is deal sourcer training. So this is specifically where people are looking for deals, not only for themselves, but to actually package those deals and sell on to other investors, which is the core thing that the Sourcing Investments really actually help with. Then the other awards, as I mentioned, starting to get a little bit more specialized and a little bit more niche. So we've got the best HMO training, obviously regarding houses in multiple occupation, and because of all the issues that come with that, with licensing, etc., it's quite a niche and quite a detailed market to be in. Then another one which we're seeing more of is the rent to rent and serviced accommodation training. Again, another niche, somebody might have been doing buy-to-lets for years, but decide, actually, the way the market's changing, I want to get into the service accommodation side of things. Um, and then we've got a catch-all of the best advanced property training. As I say, the HMOs and the rent-to-rents are specific categories within that we've got there for. And the advanced training is more for people who've probably been investing for a few years now, that really takes things to the next level and goes into a huge amount of depth. And the other one award we wanted to put on there, although not technically a training award, was the best prop tech solution. Um, there's a number of different apps, websites coming on there that actually help investors in various different ways. So again, we wanted to actually highlight those different providers as well.
That's amazing. I'm just going to show all our viewers the form, if that's okay. So this is the lead page, and this is where you'll be able to cast your vote. Okay, and so you'll see little drop down key here, and you've got, we've got the largest, would you say, Dave, the largest training companies out there that we approached or went to. You can talk more about that. But there is the other. So if there are a smaller independent training company, whoever is voting can click that and then enter the name of the trainer and the training company and the course then that they attended. Is there anything else that you want to add to that? Sorry, Dave.
Yeah, as you say, we've got out and reached out to sort of 20, 25 or so of the largest and most well-known training companies, and there'll probably be names on those lists that everybody knows of. But also, as you said, I wanted to talk specifically about the other trainers as well, because anybody can set up as a property training. I'm sure there's some smaller one-man bands out there that are doing training and doing some really good training that we haven't actually come across yet or been aware of. So specifically, if you've done any training with anybody not on the list, then we really want to hear about them, because we want to be connecting with those training companies as well, and being able to judge them and get them as part of the whole awards.
Amazing. Love it, love it, love it. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing my screen for a moment. I've got people still coming in. It's great. Excuse me. So you've told us about the different categories. What are the key criteria for actually evaluating those training companies for each category? So what's the key criteria? Excuse me, my voice, so bear with me. What's the key criteria for evaluating the training companies within each of those categories?
Yeah, it's actually a bit more complicated than you think from to begin with, because the obvious way to do it was talk to somebody who's gone through every single of those training companies, but no one's going to be spending money going on 20 different training courses to be able to give true feedback about how one compares against the other. So this is why we're really looking for feedback for people who've actually been on those courses as well. A number of the training companies I'm actually doing video interviews with that you might have actually seen on our YouTube channels as well, to get them talking about their training, how they differentiate themselves from other training companies as well. So the actual judging, the majority of it is going to be based on the feedback we get from people who've actually been through the training, but also with the idea of people can actually see those video interviews I've done with the training companies, so they can make their own judgment from that as well.
Oh, okay, that's great. And for the viewers, obviously we know how we're going to do this, but how do you ensure, so that we can explain to the viewer, how can we ensure that the awards are fair and unbiased? How can they trust that they are fair and unbiased?
Right. So when people come to actually vote for the awards, you can vote for up to 3 different companies or 3 different categories. But once you actually submit your vote, we do actually ask for your email address. We ask, do you want us to contact you or not? Absolutely fine, say no to that. But it means that one individual can only actually vote for up to 3 companies. So we can't have the training company coming in and voting for themselves 20,000 times at all. So that's why we want to try and police that and make sure it's only actual true feedback from true attendees we're actually basing the judging on.
Okay, that's good. That's good. So just in case anyone's thinking it's not rigged, we actually want you to vote and we will collate that information. So with regards to that, sorry, I'm also typing into the chat box. With regards to that, how can people vote? I mean, obviously I've just showed them the page. Where would they find that though, Dave?
Yeah, so we'll have the link for that on the chat box here. Also, if you look at any of our social media channels as well, we'll be putting the voting link out there as well. At the moment, I'm also going and posting in a lot of the property related Facebook groups as well, asking people if they've done any form of training at all to come and vote. So we're putting the link all over the place because we really want as much feedback as we can from people to make this as fair and just as possible.
And I would imagine that the training companies that that are taking part in the actual awards will be handing out their own links to their own mentees, no doubt. I would presume.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm encouraging the training companies to go back to their database of people who've actually gone through the training and get them to go and vote for them. I mean, because a big part of this is giving feedback to the training companies. And a lot of trainings I've been on, at the beginning, the first morning, the training company will ask, right, what are you looking to achieve out of this training? And on the last day, you run through to make sure that those achievements have all been met. But I think there's very few training companies that go back to people who've done training with them sort of 3 months later, 6 months later, and see what their feedback is from the training then. Because there's one thing when you're on the day, you're going to be bombarded with so much information on the training, which is great. But yeah, a month or two later, there's some bits that might not have sunk in or that have been missed, or with the benefit of hindsight, people have wished they'd asked of the training companies. So again, that feedback that we can give to the training companies is a critical part of the whole awards process.
That really is so true. So what kind of feedback are you hoping to gather? Because you mentioned the feedback. What kind of feedback are you looking to gain?
We just want honest feedback, basically. There's going to be some training companies where people think, yeah, that training was absolutely brilliant, gave me everything I needed. Their mentoring has been perfect and really kept me on track, which is great to hear and great for other people who are thinking of using that training company to hear. But I'm really also after critical feedback as well. If there were perceived gaps in the training as well. We're also open to the idea that a training company might actually cover a specific point, but if it hasn't been totally understood by the attendee during the training, then again, we've got a potential issue there that, look, you are covering this into your training, but the feedback we're getting is people aren't really getting it properly. So again, using that feedback to increase the quality of their training going forward where necessary.
I love that. I love that. And then you mentioned there, honest and that it's positive and also critical so that we are being able to assess that and see and make our decisions from that. Um, you mentioned as well that they can deliver the content and mentees may not get it. I think as well, would you agree? If it's one, it could be potentially that mentee may not be understanding, but if it's many, it could be the way that it's being delivered.
Absolutely. And I think with, a lot of training courses, outside of property as well, people pay a lot of money for it, but quite often you get all very excited during the training and then you come back and hit the real world and all the other issues sort of come up. And so a lot of people won't actually do anything with that training. And that's not to say there was a problem with the training itself. It's just life gets in the way, etc. So from that sort of thing, we're actually after really specific critical feedback. saying, a property company, I thought their training was crap, doesn't really help anybody at all. It might be the way you feel. Um, but if we could actually be specific, as I say, that wasn't addressed, or I didn't understand this, or I feel as though they could have improved it by that. So the more specific people can get with the feedback, really the better the whole process will be for everybody. Just saying a training company, yeah, they were absolutely amazing. Great, okay. But if you can tell us why they were amazing or how they've influenced your journey, that would actually be even better.
Great, love that, love that. And so with the voting process then, Dave, can you let the viewers know if it's open to anyone, or is it actually only limited to those who've completed the training?
Yeah, to be honest, it's only really people who've completed the training we want the feedback from. Otherwise, to be honest, it's based on hearsay or gossip or what fat bloke down the pub said. Do you know what I mean? It's not going to be true feedback if it's just word of mouth that you've heard about stuff. But the one point I wanted to say, though, although we're calling it the 2024 Property Awards, because this has never been run before, even if you did your training 5 years ago, great, come and talk to us. We want to know about any property training you've done. So don't get distracted by the 2024 part. We're going to be running this again next year, imaginarily called the 2025 Property Training Awards, and then we'd just be looking for feedback really from people over the last year or so. But at the moment, anybody who's done any training at all, love you to vote and give us your feedback.
Okay, that's good. That's good. So anyone then, just for clarity, anyone who has completed training prior to 2024, you can vote on these awards. It is valid. Um, how do you think, Dave? I'm really thinking about the impact of these awards. How do you think that these awards will benefit the industry, the property investment community, with them? How do you think these awards will benefit the community?
That's the thing. From our perspective, what we're looking to do is help the community from every aspect, from both the training companies to individuals actually going and undertaking training. Because nothing's like this has been done before, training companies haven't had this sort of feedback about what's working or what might not be working so well regarding their training products they're actually offering. So I'm hoping, one, that we increase the quality of the training. Two, we make it easier for people to pick the right training provider for them, if they're new to their journey, and also for people who are already on the property journey for a while, who are going into much more specific niches and want to take out that training. So the whole idea is to improve the experience both of training companies and trainees.
Okay, okay. So with regards to that, then you're saying that it's really going to create a positive impact in that the training companies will be able to improve their training, even if they're doing great training anyway, they'll be able to improve their training with what they're delivering. What is the impact of the awards?
Absolutely. I think that's the big thing I'm after from this, is to be able to give that feedback, whatever it is, to the training companies. And it's difficult because I've got in my head what sort of feedback I think we might be getting, but until we do it, we don't know. So this is actually quite a learning experience for ourselves as well, which again will be interesting. If you've got any feedback on us, how we're doing the awards, or if there's anything we can do to improve how we're doing the awards, it would be great to get feedback from that. We just want to actually just improve the standards of both the training companies, ourselves, and people actually undertaking training.
Amazing. Okay, great. I've got a question because obviously I do this show every month, and I saw a lot of trends popping up last year. And it's not that they popped up last year, but they are um, becoming trendy. They are becoming trendy. They're gaining a lot more traction, right? Therefore, they're the trends. But have you seen, just for the purpose of our viewers to know, have you seen any trends in the property training arena that these awards may highlight?
Yeah, I mean, the property training arena, it's changed a lot over the last 10, 15 years ago. When I first started, it was all about buy to lets. and then HMOs come on board, service accommodation comes on board, social housing now is quite a big topic. So we've seen sort of like strategies change over the years. I think one of the big things we're coming in and seeing more and more, though, is how important the compliance is in all of these different strategies. And I think that's a trend that I've been a little bit concerned with, seeing people come to me, they want the compliance cover, um, but have very little knowledge about how it works, the importance of it, and how to navigate through that path. Obviously, with our compliance vault, we can actually do everything for people. Um, Setting up their registrations, giving access to professional indemnity insurance, access to client bank accounts, um, anti-money laundering training, this sort of thing. But I suppose my concern I've seen is people not realizing they need to do anti-money laundering training and this sort of thing. And that lack of understanding of the importance of compliance, which from our perspective is absolutely key.
Oh yeah, 100%. You know, you and I both, well, I used to have my own agency, you still have yours. And we understand the importance of that and that it's absolutely critical. It's like, you know, when I've done calls with agents who are looking to become, or should I say, when I've done calls with people who are looking to become their own agent, and they question whether they need the compliance, the best analogy I have is like you're either driving a car without insurance or you've purchased a home and you've not bought home insurance. Like it really is protecting the bread and butter of your business and your clients, because you need to know that you have got your security locks on the doors, right? um but what does compliance, like what role does compliance play in property training, and why is it so important? Because it's really not, you know, for want of a better phrase, I do say this to the people on our calls, it's really not the sexy stuff, but it is very, very important. So, but why is it so important?
That's the thing. Compliance now, it's not a case of should I, shouldn't I? It's a legal requirement, full stop. Both to protect you and to protect the clients you work with. And not being compliant, we're seeing HMRC now handing fines out over £25,000. So it's absolutely critical you get the compliance cover there. And I think that it's in a difficult situation for the training companies because, as you say, compliance isn't sexy. A lot of people look at it as it's a must-have, but I'm not that interested in it. I just need it. Um, and I think that's really where some of the training companies can gloss over it quickly because it's not very sexy, it's not very interesting, and they can just push it back to the actual individual trainee and say, look, you need to sort out your own compliance cover. And I feel as though, not as a general feel, I feel that there's some training companies that aren't really focusing on compliance enough to give people a true understanding of why it's so absolutely critical in what they do and what the different solutions are for becoming compliant. Obviously we're biased. You can come to us and we can do it all for you quicker, easier, and cheaper than doing it yourself. But for people who want to set up compliance themselves, again, the ones I'm talking to who've come to me off the back of a training company don't really know how to do it themselves either. And I think that's one of the key things I think that's going to come up from this, or I'm hoping to come up, because that's the sort of questions and feedback I'm getting for people after they've done the training.
Yeah, I agree. And I think it will help us, you know, because part of our mission is to clean up the industry. And I think it will help us do that if all the training companies are on board. Because really, when you enter into something new, you just don't know what you don't know. You actually don't know what you don't know in order to implement it, which is so important. Why the training companies, even if they just signpost them to that, so that they can then delve into it and find out what is the legal requirement of this industry for me to operate ethically and legally within it. Is there anything that you've seen, maybe, you know, regarding compliance? Is there anything that you see that is often missed or overlooked by training companies, Dave?
I was going to say, this is going to sound quite negative, and a lot of people we talk to, yeah, they understand compliance. Yeah, totally understand. I need to get it. Great, you can do it all for us. Brilliant. I think it's the people who come to me, and these are the ones I remember, where sort of like, yeah, apparently I need something like compliance, but I don't really know what it is or how I do it. And I get the impression some training companies will do a 10-minute segment on compliance. And if you go and nip to the loo during that bit of it, then you've missed it. But from my perspective, yeah, I'd like to see more emphasis put on compliance by the training companies overall. Otherwise, people are taking huge risks with their business.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with that. And I've spoken to you before. We've had an agent who has gone through the training and didn't realise that he had to do the AML test, which is, it's on our dashboard. We actually promote it because we want all of our agents to be fully compliant in all aspects. And got quite a shock when he saw an interview by somebody explaining that these are the certain ramifications that can happen if you are found not to have had it. So I think there is definitely a responsibility for the training companies at least to signpost them to the right place. Thankfully, we've got email. We send out email campaigns reminding them, highlighting it. So we do take that on board as well, and we do try to help our agents understand all the aspects that are required from a legal perspective or from a compliance perspective within this industry. How do you think sourcing investments supports deal sources with the compliance, and how do you think that will tie into the awards, Dave?
Yeah, well, so with our compliance vault, we provide a one-stop solution for people to become fully compliant. As I say, a lot quicker, a lot quicker and easier than doing it themselves, and more cost effectively. Um, and what I'm finding as well is people come off the back of the training company, they've been told to do their own compliance, they've got halfway through it. So they've done the easy bits, they registered with the Information Commissioner's office, they registered with the Ombudsman, and then suddenly they're hitting problems about trying to set up their own client bank accounts, or they're hitting problems getting the correct professional indemnity insurance in place. And those people will come to us saying, oh, compliance felt great. That's exactly what I need. I've already done half of it. And I'm like, ugh, it's a bit difficult because the compliance vault, it's all or nothing because everything is linked into everything else. We either do all your compliance for you or you do it all yourself. And if you do it all yourself, that's great. We'll double check to make sure you are fully compliant before we, because you can then just access ourselves to use our database of investors to sell the deals onto. But as I say, people come to us where the training companies told them what they need to do, but only done half of it. Then they're in a really difficult situation because they'll come to us and we're saying, look, because we can only do the whole package for you, you're actually beginning to waste money because you're going to have to start paying for things twice. So it would be brilliant if the training companies told people exactly how to do it in detail, so people can do that, have that option to do it themselves. Or if not, let them know that there's another solution here with sourcing investments who can do it all for you if you want to. Because some people will still want to do it themselves. My personal view, having been through that process a couple of years ago, is that, oh my God, don't do that. And I think, again, this is me probably being biased. If you actually want to do the compliance yourself, probably not going to be the best deal sourcer because it's a completely different interest and skill set. Having to go through the 110 pages of the estate agency criteria from HMRC, it's a very heavy admin detail focused role to set up your own compliance. Whereas if you want to be a deal sourcer, it's about going out there, seeing properties, building rapport with investors, seeing opportunities. It's a completely different skill set to arranging compliance. So I'm obviously biased. We work for sourcing investment. We want to do your compliance for you. But no, that would be my honest view. If you really want to put the time and effort into doing it yourselves, have you got the right personality and characteristics to be a deal sourcer? And that's why we're seeing some people actually do that as a pairing. One person will do the compliance side of it, and the other person will do the deal sourcing side of it, together working as a team, because they are quite different skill sets there. Sorry,
Yeah.
I'm too biased.
But I think for just for clarity, Dave's not saying that's the only way forward. When I set up my agency, I was the only employee, to begin with, and it is a case of you do have to put that hat on. If you are a deal sourcer out there and you're operating on your own, it is a legal requirement. So you must read the Estate Agency Act 1979, and you must understand it to its fullest. There are people out there that can help you understand it if there are aspects of it that you don't. But it's important to, when I set up my agency, as I mentioned, I was my sole employee at the time, and it's not something, like I said, it's not the sexy stuff, but it is necessary. It really is, and it is, for want of a better phrase, it is boring, right? But it is important. It's paramount that you do it. And I did do it, but honestly, I didn't know sourcing investments back then. When I set up my agency, I did not know sourcing investments back then. Had I would have bought the compliance vault. Because I sat through reams of webinars and everything, and having to create all my own compliance at that time. It was just when it was launched into the industry itself. So the hours that we save is, like, it takes about 2 weeks for two of our members of team to actually set up the compliance vault. Hopefully that will give you perspective as to what you would be expected to do when you set up your own, if you choose to do it that way. Or you can use the compliance vault and have it. But I want to move away from the compliance vault, really, Dave, and go back onto the awards themselves, and bring this to a nice healthy close with, when and how will the winners be announced? We've talked about the voting, we've talked about the criteria, we've talked about, really, the value that that our intention is to bring value to the training companies, that will add value to their agents that they're training, and therein will bring value to their clients, who are the investors. So when will and how will the winners be announced?
Absolutely, yeah. That's the key thing. Vote, give us your feedback so we can actually do the judging on the different training companies, and then we're actually going to be announcing the winners at next month's Deal Clinic Live, actually with yourself, Bonnie,
Okay,
which is
amazing.
on Tuesday, the 11th of February, I think, is it?
Yes.
Yeah. So tune in a month's time, and you'll get. We'll share some of the feedback we've had from the companies and announce the winners.
Amazing. I love that. And I'm excited to see who's going to win. I'm really excited to see. And obviously, I'm so glad that it's pre 2024, because I had I'm not going to mention who they were, but I had my own mentors in property, really great, solid mentors. And I had them for a couple of years whilst I was learning. And so I will be adding my feedback. And heads up, they did tell me about compliance. So with regards to that, we've got a question in the chat box from Louis. Welcome, Louis. He said, can I change to you to do my compliance when my current subscription finishes, as I'm not happy with my current one? Absolutely, Louis. Contact us at admin@sourcinginvestments.co.uk, or register to the website, sourcinginvestments.co.uk, and you can fill in a registration form, and we can take it from there. But I do know that you have been a regular viewer, so I'm going to drop the link to that's the website there in the chat box, which is sourcinginvestments.co.uk. And for any viewers as well that you feel that would be of benefit to you, please do get in touch with us there. With regards to Dave, I just want to say that, if somebody has bought some of the compliance, as you mentioned, just to touch on that, if they have bought maybe their ICO or the Ombudsman, don't feel that you have to set up the rest of your compliance if you feel that it's getting too much. Come to us. We can take you on. You will still have to pay the full price, but what we will talk you through how we are able to help you with your already purchased parts. Okay, so it's still the full price, but we're able to tell you how we can work that with you. So don't feel that you have to go through your first year on your own, and we can help and guide you through that, because it is a tenuous application. It's just very costly in time, and as we know, time isn't everything. Everyone hasn't got infinite amount of that. Bank account is something that we need to increase, but we can't, no matter how much we try. Oh gosh. Anyway, this has been a great episode. I trust that our attendees will agree, all of our viewers who are live, who I am going to give a mention to. Kate, you've just joined. We're just closing, but welcome. We've got Brian, Dwayne, John, Kate, Louis, somebody with the name that is R, and Vasca. Vasca, welcome. You're always here with us every week, every month, should I say? And Jeffrey, and Jeffrey and Mark and Chris. So thank you so much for watching on this live show. And thank you to all of our viewers who watch us on the replay as well. Again, any questions that you may not have had a chance to type into the chat box or on the replay, send those into admin@sourcinginvestments.co.uk. And with that, Dave and I wish you a very prosperous and healthy, happy 2025. Bye for now.